The local government news roundup is supported this month by the National Growth Areas Alliance Emerging Growth Areas Forum. Australia is working towards 1.2 million new homes over 5 years, and growth councils are on the front line of delivering them. It's not just about land release and planning approvals, it's about getting the roads, drainage, schools, libraries and community infrastructure right from day one. And that's the focus of the 2026 Emerging Growth Areas Forum, hosted by the National Growth Areas Alliance on Tuesday the 4th of August at Hume City Council Town Hall in Broadmeadows. It's running alongside the NGAA National Congress. For the first time, council leaders from emerging and established growth areas will come together to share what's worked and what hasn't in managing rapid growth, covering organisational readiness, working with developers, building community trust, and making the case for state and federal investment. If your council is facing rapid population growth, this is a forum built for you. Registration is open now to all local governments. Head to the NGAA website, ngaa.org.au, to secure your place. Coming up, Hepburn Shire crippled by councillor stand-downs in what the council calls a purposeful manipulation of the Local Government Act. The latest on the governance crisis is coming up. Plus new court action against the government, this time from Boroondara. A New South Wales councillor suspended from office. Blacktown goes with a reduced rate variation. Gold Coast Council CEO seeks legal advice on a proposed leadership review. And new council CEOs appointed in South Australia and Western Australia. Hello, Chris Eddy back with more local government news from around Australia and beyond, brought to you by the VLGA, the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and from Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real, on-the-ground experience. It's Wednesday the 15th of July. Welcome along to the podcast, coming to you from the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation in Greater Geelong. And not too far up the road, in Hepburn Shire, the governance crisis has escalated sharply this week. In fact, by the time you hear this, it may have even moved on further. But here's what we know at the time of recording. 3 more councillors have been stood down after being served with criminal charges by the same private individual behind earlier action against the council. The council has confirmed that Councillor Shirley Cornish, Councillor Leslie Hewitt and Councillor Pat Hockey have been served with charges and automatically stood down under the Local Government Act 2020. The matters are proceeding as private prosecutions and, like the earlier charges, have not involved an investigation, a fact-finding process or any assessment by Victoria Police or any public prosecutorial authority, according to the council. The latest stand-downs follow the automatic stand-down of Mayor Councillor Tony Clark last week and Councillor Don Henderson in March. Chief Executive Bradley Thomas remains in his role, having been charged in the same March action as Councillor Henderson. But as reported previously, Mr Thomas has resigned his role and finishes next month. The council statement confirms that 5 of Hepburn Shire's 7 councillors are now stood down, which leaves only 2 able to sit, Councillors Brian Hood and Tim Driley. As a result, council meetings of any kind cannot proceed with a quorum unable to be reached. Council characterised the pattern of charges as a purposeful manipulation of the Local Government Act, saying it appeared intended not to address any reasonably suspected wrongdoing, but to disrupt elected representatives and hamper council's ability to serve its community. The council says it's bitterly disappointed with the impact on residents' right to democratic representation. It says day-to-day services, including bin collection, library operations and road maintenance, would continue unaffected, and that it continues to work with the Victorian Government and relevant authorities to address the situation. So, who is now in the mayoral position? Councillor Cornish had stepped into the role after Councillor Clark's stand-down last week and now herself has been stood down. Councillor Brian Hood told ABC News there's currently no mayor and no need, given the council has no capacity to meet in the current circumstances. So could this situation occur at other councils? Rural Councils Victoria Chair Councillor Rob Amos certainly thinks that's possible. He's called on the state government to urgently intervene in the wake of the Hepburn developments and to fast-track its plans to close the legal loophole. Councillor Amos said it's untenable that the Act can give an individual the power to trigger automatic stand-downs of councillors, and that without urgent action, a tidal wave of vexatious nuisance lawfare proceedings could grind local councils to a standstill. RCV is calling on the Attorney-General to press for the Director of Public Prosecutions to take over and determine the merits of current prosecutions against councillors, and for the Local Government Minister, Paul Hamer, to fast-track the planned changes to the Act and to make the legislation retrospective. MAV President Councillor Jennifer Anderson has echoed those calls for urgency, but she told ABC News that some parts of the bill before the Parliament need more work. Little has been heard till now from the Local Government Minister Paul Hamer on the issue, beyond a spokesperson's commitment to the ABC that he'd written to the Director of Public Prosecutions to draw attention to the matter. Insiders expect the appointment of an administrator to Hepburn Shire Council, perhaps within days. So that's what we know for now, as at, 9:30am, Wednesday the 15th of July, as I record this. Keep an eye on our website at lgnewsroundup.com for more developments as they come to hand. On to other news from Victoria. Boroondara Council has launched Supreme Court action against the state's Planning Minister, Sonia Kilkenny, over the fast-tracked approval of a $520 million development in Kew. The council is arguing that the decision to permit the 18-storey residential and retail project was legally unreasonable. A key dispute centres on a developer proposal to upgrade adjoining council-owned land that the developer does not control. The action comes weeks after Bayside City Council launched Supreme Court proceedings to compel the Victorian Government to release documents explaining how it selected local activity centres for planning overhauls that bypass normal public notice and increase building heights. The City of Greater Geelong has hit back at the state government's takeover of 4 local precinct structure plans, warning the move could worsen housing delays. Council Chief Executive Ali Wasty argues that thousands of approved homes are already stalled in state planning backlogs and environmental assessment pipelines. In an opinion piece for the Geelong Advertiser, Ms Wasty said the council has a strong track record of unlocking land and is urging the state to fast-track its own approvals for the Creamery Road and Elcho Road East precincts. In a later development, it's understood the Creamery Road Standing Advisory Committee report has now been released. An internal artificial intelligence roadmap developed for Marybeck Council has drawn criticism from the Australian Services Union over a lack of consultation and potential job losses. The Brunswick Voice reported that the blueprint, prepared by consultants, outlines 27 potential use cases for automation, ranging from routine document drafting to AI-assisted town planning and predictive revenue modelling. While the council's new CEO, Kate McCackey, has defended the strategy as a standard exploration of emerging technology, the union is calling for the plans to be paused pending community and workforce consultation. And by-elections to fill vacancies for Banyule and Greater Bendigo councils have been set for October, running concurrently with a previously announced by-election for Mornington Peninsula Shire Council. There are now 6 current by-elections being run by the VEC, with 3 to be concluded late this month for Wyndham, Kingston and Latrobe. To New South Wales and Temora Shire Councillor Anthony Irvine has been suspended from civic office for 28 days, effective from this Saturday. The council announced yesterday that the New South Wales Office of Local Government ordered the disciplinary action following misconduct breaches of the council's Code of Conduct and social media policy. Mayor Rick Furman OAM said the council acknowledged the decision of the New South Wales OLG and will take all necessary steps to give effect to the suspension order. Allegations against Councillor Irvine included a post about a meeting where he allegedly made comments about another councillor's mental health and did not remove the post after the council requested it. He was also accused of disclosing information about a confidential Code of Conduct complaint against him. Councillor Irvine has since brought his Facebook page into compliance with the council's social media policy, according to the Daily Advertiser. Blacktown City Council has confirmed an historic $1 billion budget for the 2026-27 financial year opting for a reduced special rate variation. According to the Daily Telegraph, councillors voted to implement a 28.6% rate increase over 3 years, down from the originally approved 37%. The revised rate structure includes an 11.54% rise this financial year, followed by consecutive annual increases of 8.53%. An Orange City councillor will propose a public vote to reduce representative numbers from 12 to 9. Councillor Steve Peterson is set to table a motion next week for a binding referendum at the 2028 local government election. According to the Central Western Daily, the 3-seat reduction aims to save ratepayers $100,000 annually. Cessnock City Council will vote this week on whether to formally oppose two adjacent battery storage developments proposed in Rothbury. The Newcastle Herald reports the councillors are concerned about industrial clustering and fire safety risks in the tourism region. If passed, the objections will be submitted directly to the state government. Lake Macquarie City Council has unanimously endorsed a 25-apartment development proposal in Warners Bay. The Newcastle Herald reported on a swift standing committee meeting where councillors approved the 4-storey residential flat building, despite it exceeding the local environmental plan's 12-metre height standard by over 26%. Clarence Valley Council has issued more than $2,500 in fines and declared 2 dogs menacing following an investigation into attack in Yamba. Sutherland Shire is working with police following weekend vandalism across multiple public facilities, including the Woolooware Bay Shared Pathway. Mayor Jack Boyd says repairs will cost ratepayers at least $9,000. And Mid Coast Council has completed an 80-metre extension of the Pelican Boardwalk in Forster. Jointly funded by the New South Wales Government and local developer contributions, the project aims to boost regional tourism and improve public infrastructure safety along the Wallace Lake foreshore. And Bellingen Shire Council has paid tribute to former General Manager and Shire Clerk Peter Doyle, who has passed away. Peter served the community for more than 23 years, and the council says his leadership and commitment will be deeply missed. It has extended condolences to Peter's family and friends and those whose lives he touched. Vale, Peter Doyle. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup for Wednesday the 15th of July. Lots to tell you about today, and it's all brought to you by the VLGA, which has its mayoral leadership program bookings now open. You can find out more about that on the VLGA website. We also thank Symphony 3 and Rath Engineering Development for their support for the Local Government News Roundup. And this month, also on board, is the National Growth Areas Alliance. They're running an Emerging Growth Areas Forum early August, and we'll find out more about that forum with Bronwyn Clark joining us on the next edition of the podcast. Listen out for that. Let's go to Queensland. An independent leadership review into the Gold Coast City Council's executive general managers and the CEO Tim Baker has been delayed. Acting Mayor Mark Hamill confirmed yesterday the motion will instead be presented at the next full council meeting, having been deferred from yesterday's meeting. And this is all while Mr Baker reportedly seeks legal advice. The Gold Coast Bulletin reported that the independent review aims to assess the overall performance and structure of the executive team, and not just that of the CEO. More to come on that one. Townsville City Council has launched a crackdown on its city centre, with the first coordinated clean-up removing more than 300 kilograms of abandoned property and waste from makeshift camps in the CBD. Mayor Nick Demetto says the operation, which brought together community safety and waste teams, is part of a back-to-basics push to keep the city centre clean and welcoming. Southern Downs Regional Council and the Queensland Government have announced a joint $2.9 million underground overhaul for the region's sewer network. The project involves cleaning, relining and inspecting 30 kilometres of sewer mains and 500 maintenance holes across Warwick and Stanhope to improve reliability and extend asset life. Works are scheduled to begin this month. And Cairns Regional Council has endorsed a 10-year trustee lease with West Shell Proprietary Limited for a new permanent Ferris wheel on the Esplanade. Dismantling of the existing Reef Eye attraction is underway. A temporary asset will operate from late July to minimise disruption until the new weather-resilient accessible wheel opens in December. Tasmania's Shire Council has unanimously adopted a new food and organic waste service expected to save ratepayers up to $120,000 annually. Despite administrative delays with the composting facility's approval, Council has finalised the policy to offset rising landfill levies, according to the Mercury. The service begins under a 3-year interim agreement. South Australia's Coorong District Council has appointed Scott Reardon as its new Chief Executive Officer. Mr Reardon has been CEO of neighbouring District Council of Karoonda East Murray and previously held senior positions at Holdfast Bay, Coober Pedy and the town of Walkerville. He'll succeed interim CEO Miles Summers, who's held down the position for the past 6 months. Wattle Range Council was last night set to consider a notice of motion to address regional homelessness following the recent death of a rough sleeper in Millicent. Councillor David Walshaw is seeking to refer the issue to a local service networking group and explore opening council-owned amenities 24/7. The SE Voice reported the move aims to better coordinate support strategies for extremely vulnerable residents. And to WA, the City of Mandurah will amend its public memorial policy following community pushback over storm-damaged beachside plaques. The Western Australian Council is updating its guidelines to allow the reinstatement of memorials damaged by weather or vandalism. ABC News reported the policy change will be formalised at the next council meeting. The Shire of Boddington has appointed Rachel Wright as its new Chief Executive. Ms Wright brings 18 years of West Australian local government experience to the role. Currently serves as the Executive Manager of Corporate and Community at the Shire of Gingin, and she's previously held senior executive positions at the Shire of Ashburton and the City of Wanneroo. Ms Wright is expected to take up the position later this year. The City of South Perth has expanded its community safety measures with the deployment of a second mobile CCTV trailer. Funded by a $75,000 state government grant, the unit will target crime hotspots in partnership with Kensington Police. And the Shire of Manjimup has scheduled an extraordinary election for September the 24th to fill a vacancy in its rural ward. The postal vote, run by the WA Electoral Commission, follows the resignation of former councillor Braden Danielle in May. And let's wrap up today with some overseas news. We'll go to New Zealand firstly, where RNZ reports that Dunedin City Council has revealed a formal warning for misconduct was given to its chief executive, Sandy Graham. An independent investigation by King's Counsel partly substantiated a complaint that Ms Graham used offensive language and made inappropriate comments about staff and elected members in 2024. The council released a summary of the findings following an intervention by the Chief Ombudsman after a complaint by the Otago Daily Times. Graham has apologised and the council confirms she's undergoing coaching and facilitation. A survey by Taronga City Council has shown strong community support for local government reform in Taronga. Over 85% of residents back a single council for the wider Bay of Plenty to improve service efficiency. Mayor Mahi Drysdale says the feedback will shape the council's proposal ahead of the government's August deadline. In the UK, a major milestone for Thurrock Council this week. The council has appointed Debbie Ward as its new chief executive, marking a milestone in the authority's recovery after nearly 4 years of government intervention. Ms Ward is a 40-year local government veteran and is expected to take up the role in autumn, subject to formal council endorsement. London's Newham Council has unanimously approved the appointment of Maria G. Christofi as its new permanent chief executive. Ms Christofi, currently the council's corporate director of resources, will assume the role on the 1st of August. The introduction of toilet charging plans by Weymouth Town Council has drawn strong opposition, with a petition gathering roughly 1,500 signatures. The BBC reported that local traders and residents have raised concerns that the charges will lead to increased public fouling on the beach and around beach huts. The council plans to phase in the charges over an 8-year period, alongside planned refurbishments, with the first site scheduled for works in 2027. Also from BBC News, the Essex Climate Action Commission's work is expected to pause after Essex County Council withdrew its staff and administrative support. The council, led by Reform UK since May, said it will step back from the commission at the end of July, but remains committed to separate environmental initiatives like flood resilience and air quality. Opposition members and commissioners warned the move could cost millions in lost investment and undermine green energy plans. And finally, Abingdon-on-Thames Town Council has announced the passing of a serving councillor, Margaret Crick, a former mayor of Abingdon, following a period of poor health. First elected in 2011, Councillor Crick represented the Dunmore ward for 15 years and served as chair of the Vale of Whitehorse District Council for 4 consecutive terms. She was 74 years of age. Vale, Councillor Margaret Crick. That's all I have for you today on the Local Government News Roundup, episode number 616, recorded on Wednesday the 15th of July 2026. If you'd like to know more about any of the stories covered today, you'll find story links and more information at lgnewsroundup.com. Don't forget, you can comment on our stories. You can also subscribe to be notified of future episodes and posts on the website. Our podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. We record in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more.